Alright, what's up YouTube? We are back, and as promised, we're going to do a quick video, hopefully quick, about our Jazzmaster. For those that haven't been following the channel, this is a 1990-91 made in Japan Fender Jazzmaster. It's already got a couple of upgrades. I changed the pick guard. There's a video about that. It came for me with a Mastery bridge because I bought this used, obviously. And I've been super happy with the guitar. It's been the guitar I've been playing the most, more or less, depending on what I'm playing. But there's one thing that's bugged me about it since I got it, and that is this bridge pickup. So what we're going to do today is record some samples. I'm thinking maybe 2, maybe 3, but I'm thinking 2 simple riffs. I'm going to record it once on the neck pickup just to show you guys the comparison. Play the 2 riffs again with the bridge pickup. We're going to then pause, obviously. I'm going to take the strings off, clean this thing up, because I like to clean up my guitars every time I do a string change. We're going to be restringing it. It's the same brand of string, same gauge, same everything. These are still relatively new. It kind of sucks, but I've been playing with these for a little while, and mainly because we got to take them off to do all the changes. We're gonna have to restring, so the string won't make that big of a difference. They're really not that used, and it's the same brand, same gauge, same everything. While we're at it too, we've had these for a while. We're gonna change out these pickup covers for actual Fender vintage white ones. Why, you would say? Because they do seem to be about the same. Just on principle, these are supposed to be bright white. I think the guy that used to own this either left it out in the sun or was a heavy smoker, because these things are like yellow-orange. This is after I've sanded them down, after I've tried to clean them up as most as I could. I can't get them to white. The only thing I could get from Fender is these vintage white ones. It's just, for me, it's just, I know those are clean. These just always make me think it's dirty. So anyway, so we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna play those. The amp, I did mic my amp this time because I do get comments. The room mic is still gonna be on, so you're gonna get a blend of the two, the room mic and the mic'd amp. Again, for those that don't follow the channel, the amp is a Mesa Boogie brain fart mini rectifier 25. I'm going to be using both channels just to give you guys a mix of the two, but basically, I'm going to turn these off because I think we're getting a little bit of feedback here. I'm going to be using both channels just to give you guys a mix of clean and some distorted, but we're using the clean channel, not the crunch, just straight clean, 25 watt mode. Same settings if you followed my channel. I don't change the amp settings usually very much. If I find something I like, it usually stays there. And then the dirty channel is going to be the modern metal Mesa Boogie sound, also 25 watt. There you go. So we're going to start. We're just, like I said, I'm going to play 2-ish, maybe 3 simple riffs. I'm probably going to fuck these up, so don't judge that. I just got up, I just went for a run, I just took a shower, I'm just having my morning coffee. I just want to get this video done, and it's going to take me a while, so don't judge, but here we go. So we're going to start, like I said, neck pickup to start. So neck, we're not in the rhythm circuit, we're in the lead circuit. Neck pickup, we're going to play the 2 riffs, switch on over to the bridge, play the 2 riffs, and then we'll pause. So here goes. I'm going to mess this up. And I messed it up at the end, but it doesn't matter. So there you go. That was the neck pickup, which I like. I do like the neck pickup on this thing. It's not for every style of music, obviously. But I do like it. It's nice, it's rich, it's deep, it's got some color to it. I like it. So we're going to do those same two riffs, again, clean and then dirty on the bridge pickup, and you guys will be able to hear the difference. So there you have it. That was our bridge pickup. Tell me what you guys think, but to me it's very thin, it's very trebly, it's very thin and high-pitched. I don't like it. It's just not a usable tone. So what I went and did about a month and a half ago, because apparently it takes about that long to order a freaking pickup nowadays, is I went down to my local shop and I ordered a Duncan Quarter Pound bridge for Jazzmaster. This thing retails for about $108 Canadian. But we're going to go ahead, we're going to pause here. I'm going to go take this apart, clean it up, take it apart, clean it up, change the pickup. So a bit of soldering, it's going to be an hour or two whilst I drink my morning coffee. And I'm going to come back and we're going to do part 2 where I'm just going to redo those same riffs but just on the new bridge pickup. So hopefully you guys will be able to hear a difference. Hopefully it'll be a lot better sounding. From the samples I heard online, this thing is going to sound a lot deeper, darker, richer, less on the treble, more an even EQ across the board, which is what I'm looking for anyway. So there you go. I'm going to stop here. We're going to go do the grunt work and then we'll be back. Alright, what's up YouTube? Another quick video. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this one, but might as well get my video numbers up or some bullshit, right? So, Jazzmaster. And what are we going to be doing? Well, we're going to be changing that bridge pickup that I've been complaining about for a while now. Let me just move this camera down a little bit. Change this bridge pickup that I've been complaining about since I got this guitar, basically. What we're going to need, well, string winder just to make things easier to take the strings off. New set of strings eventually. Your new pickup. I'm not going to comment on this yet because I haven't installed it. I don't know if it's going to sound loads better or what, but I've never really gotten a Duncan pickup that I didn't really like. They're not all for the same applications, obviously, but anyway. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, and just for me, at the same time, we're going to be replacing the pickup covers. Why? Because the ones that are on it are super old. They are yellowed. They're pretty much the same color as the replacements. It's just these are made to be like this. These are just yellow from, I'm hoping, exposure to sun, but my gut tells me probably the guy who owned this originally was a heavy smoker. So I just want to get rid of these. Once they're out, I'll show you next to each other and you'll see the difference. But anyway, so first and foremost, and I'm probably going to pause this and skip over bits because not all of this is interesting, but we're going to start off by taking off the strings, obviously. So I'm going to pause here and we'll be back later. Okay, so I got the strings off, and I forgot to mention a couple of things. You probably want to pop that trem arm out, by the way. So just pop that out, set that aside. You're going to need, and if you don't have these, you really should invest in a pair of something to snip the wires, because it just makes your life easier if you snip off those curled tips. Which really, you could do that instead of unwinding. Just snip off the string, and then pull off that curled up gnarly bit. We're doing this for One simple reason, it just makes it so much easier to then just pull those strings straight out the bottom here, which is not in focus. Just makes it easier to pull those strings out because you don't have to deal with that knot at the end, and they just come straight out. And I missed one, but it's the small string, doesn't matter. So you're gonna want to just throw those strings out, which again, these were a relatively new set, so it kind of sucks, but such is life. One thing I've been wanting to do as well since I got this guitar, I'm gonna re-oil up this fretboard because, like I said, I don't think this was ever maintained for its 20 some odd years of existence, so I'm going to be a good sport and maintain the hell out of this thing. You can pop out that bridge, set it aside. Mine's a Mastery, but the normal bridges will also pop apart. Pop right out, I mean. One thing I wanted to do, and I'm going to do that now, is oil the machine heads. I'm not going to show you what I'm using because, to be honest with you guys, I don't know if this is a good idea, but it's the only oil, quote unquote, I have. You want to do your research. I'm fairly certain this is going to be safe, but again, I'm not going to show you what I'm using just for liabilities, I guess. But what you want to do is right here on the back, there's a little hole in all of them. Just put a drop of oil in there. Let that kind of go in. It's not really going in. Give it a second, see if it drops in. We'll wipe off the excess anyway. Funny how all the modern tools we have access to, and half the time just a normal toothpick is what you need to get the job done. So I think these were nicely gunked up, so the oil's not really going in too much, but enough went in for me to be satisfied. And then you just want to flip this over, and near the top you'll see there's a bit of a gap. Just drop a little dab in there as well. You could always fully just take these apart and oil them up properly. I'm not really looking to do that today. They don't work badly. They just probably needed just a little bit of oil. Some of them stuck a little bit. So just go ahead, move those around. See, this one's really sticky. So I've got like two that are kind of sticky. So just work those to get the oil in there. Wipe off the excess, and you're pretty much done. You don't really need to do this very often. It's just once you start noticing, especially on something like this that's like a 25-year-old guitar now. 26-year-old guitar now. A little bit of maintenance will make this last a whole bunch longer. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to clean the fretboard. You don't really need to watch me do that. Very simple, just get yourself some fretboard cleaner. Rub it in, make sure it soaks in. If you get a guitar that is very old and that hasn't been maintained, you might want to do this a couple of times because it's really going to drink it up. I've already done this one like twice now since I've owned it, and it still looks pretty damn dry to me, so I expect this is going to soak it up again. But that's good. You want to keep that wood nice and moist. I know a lot of people love that moist word. Yeah, and it'll stop it from drying out completely and cracking. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do that, and then we'll be back. We'll switch out these pickup covers, take off the pick guard, look at what we got, and then get to soldering. Alright, so to change the pickup covers, all you really need to do, if that's all you're trying to accomplish for the day, is to take out the 4 screws on either side of that pickup cover. And again, I'm going to repeat this in every single video I make about this kind of stuff. Get yourself some kind of receptacle. If you're swapping a pickup, the cover of the pickup box makes a perfect thing for it. just to keep all your screws in one place. That way you're sure you're not going to lose any screws. So now if you're just replacing the pickup cover, this is going to pop out, and I think I showed this in previous videos. The pickup just kind of sits in this plastic housing. So again, this is the original. This is the new one. Pretty much identical, right? Until you do that. That's the actual color this thing is supposed to be. That's why I want to change it, because it's just kind of gross looking, and if I want to set this higher or lower, you can see the yellow and the white. So I'm going to chuck these in the case that came with this, just so I can say I've got all the original parts. But we're going to go ahead and just drop in our new pickup cover. And that's all you have to do. Put this back in place. Make sure you get the right pickup covers. They won't all fit on the same, even though they're all Jazzmasters. There's some slight differences, and that fits perfectly. So I'm not going to screw that in just yet because I still want to take off the other pickup, unsolder, resolder the new one. So I'm going to go ahead, finish taking this apart, and then we'll be back. Alright, we're back. I've soldered in the pickup. You'll forgive the headgear. I tied up my hair because safety first. If you're soldering, I don't want my hair to catch fire. Sounds stupid, could happen. You also probably want to wear some safety goggles if you're going to be doing any soldering. I'm specifically not showing the soldering because, to be honest with you guys, I'm okay at soldering. I'm just not the best. If you want an example of how to solder, Google. There are some professionals out there. That's how I learned. I'm, like I said, by far not even close to being any kind of professional. So if you want to learn how to solder, I'm not the person to ask, so I'm not going to show that part personally. Important part to follow is always look at how it's wired, but also always check the manufacturer's guide, because the wires, the color doesn't always mean the same thing. Now my problem is that the Seymour Duncan wiring guide is completely different to how this thing is wired. They also have a note saying that how they're showing you how to wire it. If you're mixing original pickups with theirs, you probably don't want to follow how they wired it anyway, because it'll end up sounding out of phase between the two pickups. So, I'm done, but before we reassemble this, restring it, finish it all up, very important part to do is you want to, and I completely forgot, I got the wrong thing. Get a small amp. In my case, I'm just going to use this Vox. I'm going to have to go get some headphones, so I'm just going to pause here. Alright, I'm back, and I just had a very blonde moment, I guess we'd call it. So, what I was saying is make sure you have headphones and a little practice amp to test before you put everything back together. So what you want to do, again, is take a piece of metal and just touch the magnets using your headphones or practice amp. You'll hear a loud click noise if the pickup is working. Try all the combinations. Now, why do I say I just had a very stupid moment? And I even called the shop because I'm like, I think your pickup that you sold me might be broken. How long would it take? Or I'm just doing this really wrong. But I mean, it's a Jazzmaster. They're single coils. It's 2 frickin' wires. Wire them the same as they were before one way. If it don't work, rewire them the other way. That's all there is to it, really. So how could I screw that up? Why? And what was even weirder is I'm like, Christ, I don't know what the hell I did. I must have screwed up some connections, because no matter what I'm switching to, only the neck is working. Called the shop. They told me, yeah, bring it in. We might be able to look at it today, and you'll have it back tomorrow. It's going to cost you about $50, $60 for a technician to look at it. So I'm like, well, before I put this thing in a case and run out, let's have another crack at it, right? So put the practice amp back in, put my headphones back on. I'm like, it's really weird. Why is the neck pickup the only one that's working no matter what I'm doing over here? Well, it's a Jazzmaster. helps if you have it in the lead circuit, dumbass. So yeah. Yeah. I'm happy it's working, but yeah, I'm not proud of myself for that one. I must have flipped into the rhythm circuit when I was flipping the pick guard back and forth, because I didn't do it. But yeah, it's working, so I'm going to go ahead and put that back on. Put it all back together is what I meant. And yeah, so what I was trying to tell you guys before I took an hour-long pause to try and figure out why the hell this wasn't working is, if you don't, it's fine. You can just run back to your room, plug it into your main amp, and try it that way. But I bought this thing. It's just a little tiny Vox metal. You plug it straight in. You plug in headphones or mini speakers. I got this, honestly, so I could just play with headphones when I used to live with my ex-wife now, and she was trying to do something and I didn't want to be loud, or she was sleeping, or whatever. So what I use it for mainly now is to test stuff when I'm working on it. Second pro tip for you guys, because I did this the first time too, make sure you have some volume on the goddamn amp when you go and test it. I always flip the volume back to off because if I'm using speakers, I pretty much crank it, but if I'm using headphones cranked, I blow my eardrums, so I turn it all the way down. That one took me about 2 seconds to figure out, to be fair. But yeah, there you go. So it's wired. I'm going to put it all back together, and that's all there is to it. So I showed you guys the covers. We replaced the pickup. I'm going to go finish my original video idea, which was to compare the original pickup with the new one. So putting this back together and back to my video room. Okay, we are back, and we have successfully, finally, changed the bridge pickup. Now, we're not going to be using the neck. We've already recorded that. It's the same neck pickup. I haven't changed that one. We only went ahead and changed the bridge to a Seymour Duncan Quarter Pound. So there we go. We had a little bit of trouble. I'm probably going to cut in the scenes. I was going to make it a separate video, but I think I'm just going to combine everything into one big video that explains the idiocy that I had trying to do this. So pro tip, when you are testing something, make sure you're not in the rhythm circuit and then wondering why only the neck is active. We also changed those pickup covers. I know it's not a visual change at all for you guys, but it is to me. I don't see that bright white line where it's discolored. So now everything matches. It's all a nice vintage white kind of cream color. But anyway, let's just go ahead and we're going to play those same riffs again. And again, all you're hearing is my amp. I did mic it. It's a, I don't think I said at the start. The mic on the amp is a Shure 57, I'm pretty sure. And also the room mic that you're hearing me talk through, which is an Audio-Technica. I forget the model if you guys really want to know. I've said it a bunch of times in old videos. And you're going to be hearing a mix of the two because usually it just sounds better. I tried it, to be honest with you guys, I tried both individually, and the blend of the two with the guitar just sounds better to me. So that's what you're going to be hearing. But yeah, here we go. So, and these are brand new strings. So if it goes a little bit out of tune, just bear with me. They're brand new strings. I just tuned it twice. Let's just double check again. So we are in tune, but it might go out of tune because, like I said, brand new strings, haven't really played them yet. So we are full on the bridge. Let's go ahead. And a bit of distortion. I always fuck that part up. Anyway, there you have it. To me, anyway, in here in the room, that is a world of difference, and that's much more what I want out of a bridge on a Jazzmaster. And just to show you guys, which I didn't do originally, but that is middle position, which is both pickups, and then just neck. So everything still works. That middle position, they did warn that if you are keeping a original pickup in there, you might have to flip the wires. I'm not sure which way is which. To me, that middle position sounds fine, so I'm just going to leave it as is. The main thing is that bridge, in my opinion anyway, sounds a million times better. It is a much more even EQ across the board instead of being very high-pitched and tinny. It's not quite as rich as that neck pickup, but that's to be expected, and that's fine. That's what I wanted. So anyway, there you go. Replacing a bridge on a Jazzmaster. Actually just to wrap this up, the only little minor nitpick I would have is, if you can see here, the neck pickup, the cover, the magnets poke out. Well, they don't poke out, but they're like even with the cover. Whereas on the Duncan Quarter Pound, the poles are much bigger, so they don't poke out. Does that affect the sound? Highly doubt it. It's just kind of a little visual nitpick that I would have. That's the only negative. But anyway, there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. That is replacing the bridge pickup on a Jazzmaster with a Seymour Duncan Quarter Pound.